G'day everyone and welcome to this week's edition of the Melbourne Punters Show. Different set this week. Thanks to Bobby O'Kane, we're here at the All Nations Hotel in Richmond for Pots with Pots.
Thanks boys.
Darren Potter.
Thanks for having a
DK.
Yeah, Jumpy.
How are you?
pot with me.
So we're just having a couple of quiet beers. We thought this would be a good opportunity to catch up and do the show here. So we're just going to run over the meeting from Sandown and wrap up what the DK and Pots stuff and Pots of Set's been doing over the last week, boys. I've been here, there and everywhere. It hasn't been too bad.
Yeah, we're going alright, Jumpy. It was only 2 sets last week, both at Sandown, Wednesday and Saturday, full sets. Wednesday was really good, and then Saturday was a win, so that's good. And then the DK and Pots stuff, we went on a bit of a roller coaster, didn't we, mate? But in the end, we've found 5 winning weeks in a row, so it wasn't massive, but we were in a bit of a hole there on Friday morning, and we got out of it, so that's all right.
Big job Pots by you over the weekend.
Well, I needed to, mate. The week before I was awful, so anyway, good on all those subscribers that are stuck solid with us. You know, it's never easy. You know, there's all sorts of things happening, and one thing you can guarantee is we're always doing our best. So I'm pleased that in the end we finished with a winning week, and stick with us and we'll be right.
And I think that's the benefit of getting with the DK and Pots sets. You got both of them, and like what the bookies should be really worried about is when both of them hit their straps together, because then it'll be a complete wipeout for them. So it's winning now when sort of one's going well.
We're alternating.
Then, alternating, but when both of them hit at the same time, look out.
Hopefully down the track. I mean, it's a new thing. You
Yeah.
can't expect it to spike straight away when you start something new. It's any, say, new business.
Yeah.
You know.
I beg to differ, boys, but we've been doing it for 8 weeks, and it's 20% profit on turnover. I mean, fuck, I wished I was making 20% profit on turnover every week. I'd be very happy. So, I mean, I've been backing all those horses, so I suppose for the 8 weeks on those horses I have been, but I do a lot of other betting as well. And my main sets have been operating at 7% profit on turnover for the year, so that's a far cry from 20. But we'll keep at it, and I'm sure we'll keep finding enough winners to keep our heads above water.
I do a lot of betting too, Pots.
Yeah, right.
I love betting. Boys, the transferred meeting from Flemington to Sandown on Saturday. Track play probably how we all expected, really.
Testing.
So, it was
Testing track, two meetings
yeah,
a week.
2 meetings in a week. It probably held up. Like, it is the workhorse, but like I was out there on Friday doing some of the setup work and went upstairs to the Let's Alone room, and you could see like where the distinct differences, like what we saw the other week when we had a drink at Legends at Tabaret there at Mooney Valley. You can see the 2 distinct areas where the track had been really cut up by that Wednesday meeting, and like I hadn't been that wet for a long while I was at work that Wednesday. Like we had an inch of rain on Wednesday morning, so track's held up well, and there was some decent performances that came out of the meeting.
Fit strong horses winning, so you needed to find the fit strong horses, and
So it suits your big Pots. Coming up at the time of year where we're going to focus on those sort of horses.
Yeah.
Hopefully, you know.
horses like in hindsight, Zarspeed was just a really good. Like it's always easy in hindsight, but the market also found Better Land and the Bandit, which I backed all 3 of those horses. But in hindsight, I'm just thinking, I don't know, really plough into Zarspeed. And in the last, Nevis was I lent to Kenja Wood over Nevis. I like both of them, but in hindsight, it just makes perfect sense that Nevis was the horse to be on there. So, but then some of the other ones were harder to find. Bengal Cap wasn't easy to find, but she's gone enormous. Really putting a hole in Silence Edition and those other fillies. And Chris Waller's other mare, she's Mr. Vine.
She's Mr. Vine, yeah.
Well,
you know, beat the other Waller runner with the picket fence, and she didn't do everything right, choose Mr. Vine, and still won. I think she's capable of going right through her grades if they can straighten her out. Like she's doing a lot wrong and running well. So
one thing I find with the models, or you know, from Sydney, they really get the Sydney versus Melbourne form off season. They get it right.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure about the carnivals and that, but I've just noticed what I'm watching. They really hammered it the other day to say it could beat French Emotion.
Yeah.
For one reason or another, but they were spot on. Yeah, ran 5. Did you run 5 to 2 on the totes or something?
Yeah, there was no one on Wednesday too.
Yeah.
We back Calidaz, and
yes,
they the one that was out the back last and just rounded them up.
Tony McAvoy.
Tony McAvoy. Yeah. Can't remember what it's called.
Well, I've got a question with French Emotion, boys. Does she need no sting out of the ground? Does she need a drier track? Because she had the runs in Sydney on the softer ground where she'd gone no good and then came down here and sprang the picket fence together.
She's actually run, Juppy, the same rating as she's been running.
Okay.
Yeah.
However, she's been winning those other races in sort of hollow, like dominant, you know what I mean? Like soft.
Yeah,
like
they were against lesser opposition.
She's been up for a while. Like,
yeah, that's true.
I reckon we were sitting at Penola or something on the Wednesday 2 or 3 months ago, watching her win a midweek at Sandown.
Yeah.
You know, in that accelerating away fashion, but it was probably a hollow race. And
well, that shows
she's more dynamic on top of the ground.
That shows how good DK is. He remembers that day at Penola.
That was the first day. It was only about 4 o'clock on the first day. They asked me the second day, full of bloody sparkling Shiraz or whatever it was. Jesus.
Coonawarra Vineyards Cup. There's a big rap on that.
One of the great days of the year. One of the great race days. Yeah.
So another interesting race was the Regoose race. It was.
What did you mark? Like you said, it could have gone either way.
Yeah.
No, I'd inform it was a 25 to 1 chance, but it was going to that stable.
You could either express it into
Team Hawks to do where and just was never going to lose. Just into the right spot and there's demonstrate going around
odds on,
or Evans or whatever, you know.
5 to 4 was the SP, so yeah, he was short enough. But
it was in those short odds in the early markets, wasn't it?
Yeah,
very short, too short probably.
Yeah, and especially, but they're also just protecting themselves too because they know that they're the ones they're going to lay, and especially in the multis, the Giants aren't they? Like if they see a shorty, they know they're going to put 2 or 3 of them. It was like yesterday at Pakenham, it would have been no good for them. The first 3 evens or odds on chances lob for them, and you know that multi-wise that's going to be no good for the Giants. So they do tend to have those ones, whereas the on-course boys are more happy to sort of reach for them a little bit to get something out of them. Of course, if you're laying them on the exchange yourself, you've got to pay the premium to lay those shorties a lot of the time.
So what race that was about? Middle of the day, was it?
Yeah, that was about...
just another countless example of a weird joint. Obviously, Peter Ellis, seeing the pack, knowing the track, this is the place, was bred on it, this is where you want to be with this horse, and he put it in exactly the right spot.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like you could, 800 from home, you're just like, this race is over.
Yeah.
And Regoose is going to win it, and Darren Weir's won an awful lot of races with cheap horses, and now he's getting expensive horses.
Yeah, from the sheiks.
So look out, really.
And everyone he gets one from, he wins a race from, and they say they're going to get him more. So they know, he still whack away with a couple of home breeds, but the cattle is just going to get some.
It's very well it's about as sandy as where the sheiks are from, isn't it? Like there's both not much goes in either of those two joints. Lacroix. Second race.
Was a hard fit horse that found the right race to win on the backup. The surprising part there was the drift from sort of 6 to 4, 7 to 4 out to 5 to 2.
I think there's varying opinions on that race. You're in one camp. I think you're in Blackwood's camp, or you're in Dane Thunder's camp. So a couple, you were in that camp, and a couple of others I speak to in Dane Thunder's camp. So I think it was just a meeting of the two that they went one way or the other, and they savaged. But Blackwood was a bit stronger in the end on the backup. That's
a race that worked for me. I was in both camps, and I backed Dane Thunder early at $5 and managed to have most of my money on Lacroix.
That's why you're the best, Pod. That's why you're the best.
When it works like that, it's absolutely lovely, but it doesn't always go that way, that's for sure.
$5 Dane Thunder, that was good shopping.
Czar Speed?
Yeah, no, just
one race.
He's just a hard fit horse.
The
right jockey.
The right jockey. He just made that, owned the race.
Yeah, and the other chances were, just out.
Better land than the Bandit. No man's land.
Particularly the Bandit.
He was out.
He read on well.
I suppose we should mention on the jockey there, he's giving it away. He's going to go and ride off into the sunset in Singapore for a couple of years and then give it away. Says it's too hard here. Well, I think it's only get harder with the batch of kids coming through.
Trying to get some rides at the championships. And,
I
mean, that's things change, but he's adapted. He's still pushing himself to go to Singapore and try and make a go over there. So
I bet. So you go to Singapore, and how long's his contract for? Just one season?
Yeah, but he said he planned to stay there for 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I bet we haven't seen the last of Boss.
Well, you can get sent home there as his pastor, and the other blokes can find out. And you can get back deep. They easily got brassed and then invited back. So it's an interesting joint, Singapore. You'd love to know the intricacies of how they work there, but anyway, there's obviously quid to be made there.
Yeah,
I think prize money's good.
And he rides light too, which probably helps him as well. Like you'd think it would help him over here, but that's what he said. He goes, he the only rides that he was getting in Sydney were on those real lightweights down the bottom in.
I think there's probably a theory. There's a lot more DNPs like this in the latter years of his career. If something didn't go right at the start, or something like this, it was just a DNP, and I think maybe that's ticked a few people off or something like that. Just a do not participate. Sorry for those.
And also what we're seeing with we were sort of discussing this before with like a Luke Nolan at the moment who's changing camps. And he's now actively going out there, and it doesn't matter where he's riding as if this is absolute grand final.
We'll talk about him in What About the Punters, Juppy, because that needs to be mentioned, because there's a good result going with Luke Nolan for us battlers at the moment. So we'll talk about that.
But he's just the difference between him and G Boss. Like if G Boss is going to sail on a Wednesday for just a standard provincial meeting, he's definitely. I don't think he's pushed himself as hard as if it was a major or even a semi-major or even a Saturday meeting. Look, you're getting two different standards, whereas the guys that have got their eye in, they're the ones that are pushing around.
So Joe Boss has recently taken on a new manager.
Yep.
So he's setting down the garden path. He recently rode Ascadilly, didn't he?
Yep.
Didn't probably give it every chance. It was all right, but not perfect. And then someone else won a Group 1 on Saturday.
Yeah.
Now he spat the dummy. What's surprising about that?
I'm not surprised.
No. And he's hard in his sleeve a bit, so
that's fair enough. Whatever.
It's not the Iron Ranger there.
And it also shows how. That is true. Anyway, but it also shows how competitive it is here in Victoria to get rides and to get good rides. Like there's only probably a couple now that just demand those top rides. So
finish this pot and
now. Charlevoix was impressive.
Well, the interesting part about Charlevoix was the drift. Evans at the 2-1.
Yeah.
And
something to do with the map.
Yeah, I think there was a few conflicting things at work there. There was a number of Cool Chap was coming off on paper high rating runs in fast races, but most of that field were going up in distance to 2400 first time. So that so I think it created a lot of confusion, and everyone was looking at everyone else, and none of the big punters were prepared to back Charlevoix confidently.
Yeah.
So it got out to a price where, it was all right to have something on it,
Yeah.
And in the end, the race made perfect sense.
And all played out well.
Yeah. So it was just the race. Not that they haven't done anything.
And the standard bull pit, big price, I'm not on, therefore it wins.
Bull pit.
That's I can't do it because I was fucking back Shidell and felt like she scrambled out of the gates. And maybe I'm looking for an excuse here. I don't know. That was the end of it.
Forget about that race.
But it just reminds me of that race there at Flemington.
It's every time he wins.
It seems to be.
It's sort of you're left. Something happens. He's just left the winner.
And Nevis in the last, just.
Katie Mallion.
Yep.
Good on you, Katie.
Well done, Katie. Yeah.
We talked about you the other week in races sort of 1400 metres in that distance range. When you're on the right horse, you just own it, and you were too good. You killed it. So, and I think it was Regan Bayless riding Kenjawood. I think it was.
Kenjawood.
Yeah, what was it? Doesn't matter.
Whoever rode Kenjawood, you should have got up and sat 2 lengths off her. That was a gift.
Oh, Michael D.
There you go.
Yeah.
I was surprised it was.
Sorry, Regan.
Yeah. Sorry, Regan's riding really well. Might be another one we speak about.
Michael D. You earn because Kenjawood will lose interest if you don't set him. He needs to be tested.
Can be playing with his tactics, MD.
Yeah.
Riding a lot of winners, but can be quite plain in his tactics.
Or has he tapered off a little bit lately, DK? I don't reckon he's been riding as many winners now as what he was, say, maybe prior to the spring or just after the spring when it dropped off a bit. He just seems to
getting really good opportunities.
Yeah.
I mean, the Caulfield camps are all putting him on.
But yeah.
But when we spoke about this, I reckon on the show a month ago, that he had a problem with his tactics, and
that's true.
Not sure that's just even watching him in the bush sometimes. Just not sure he's 100% on top of it. So.
He'll still ride winners.
He's a kid. He's a kid too.
Yeah. So you got to.
I don't know who's doing his maps or his form. He's doing them himself, but. Anyway, hopefully he's going to improve.
You just got to look. Any horse he's riding, you got to look at it and think: is this a ride that needs tactical nous or not? Because if it is, you'll probably need to mark it a bit longer.
Yeah.
And
if
it's
he's
just-
rolling
if it's-
forward and
yeah.
you can control the race, he's good on speed.
Yeah.
But he's got to think through it. It's an issue.
And has Nevis rated any better than that Bendigo win, or it's
within
just
a length.
about the same? Okay.
I'd say a length worse, but near enough.
All right. Well, that's our wrap up of Sandown on
It's thirsty work, chaps.
on Saturday. So we'll refresh ourselves, and then we'll be back in a minute with what about the punters.